So Boruto Manga Chapter 77 threw a lot at us, honestly, and as if in some weird meta way of acknowledging the fact that us, the audience, are highly anticipating the Boruto time skip, Masashi Kishimoto made the decision to title the chapter Time Drawing Near. Wagwan everyone, Sanji Uchiha here, the Uchiha that Itachi forgot that went to YouTube. So welcome back to the channel. As you can see, it is Monday night, and I hope you guys had an awesome start to the week. Hopefully school and or work or just even staying home was awesome for you guys. But we have a nice Boruto discussion here. The topic of Himawari Uzumaki is a topic that's on the floor, or it's in the sky at this point, to say the least. And I wanted to go a step further to say Kawaki versus Himawari Uzumaki might be a thing, if it's even a small scuffle. But let's get into it. Of course, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, all that jazz and blues. So yeah. So Himawari versus Kawaki. I think that's actually going to be a short thing more than likely. But I want to go a step further with this video and talk about the other set of material that was presented to us when it comes on to this chapter regarding Himawari Uzumaki, because honestly it speaks more than volumes when it comes on to her potential and what Kishimoto might be, you know, planning for her when it comes on to the time skip of the story. So let's get into it. So the crucial thing when it comes on to Himawari, when it comes on to the Boruto era specifically, is over all these 6 to 7 years, we've seen Himawari in situations where she snaps and she just unleashes her quote-unquote potential to either defeat Naruto or scare Boruto or save Shukaku, whichever one it is, honestly. And for the most part, it's usually played for gags, other laughs, or anything, but we the audience kind of interpret it as, yeah, it's funny, but at the same time, you know, we see potential in her, like that kind of Gohan type of potential to be an awesome, ridiculously powerful shinobi. I mean, defeating the 7th Hokage, the hero of the Great Ninja War, when you're like, what, 10? I think that speaks volumes. But all in all, you know, you could look at it as a, you know, a gag kind of situation. But she did knock out Naruto, so take it as you will. But what chapter 77 did to take that to the next level is the nature of the characters involved. Because spoilers, as you can tell if you've already read chapter 77, Daemon, the arguably strongest person in the verse, probably the second strongest person in the verse alive right now, who could easily beat Naruto, who could easily beat Sasuke, who could easily beat everybody in Konoha essentially. And even by his admission when he came to the village in chapter 77, well, not in chapter 77, but in this chapter, he essentially said there was no one in the village that really seemed impressive at all, and that's saying something. And to even kind of power scale it even more, we had Naruto and Sasuke when they still had the Rinnegan and Kurama. They lost to Jougan, who was weaker than Code, who had his limiters removed, and Code lost easily to Daemon. So just putting it in perspective for you all in terms of the magnitude of who this character is from a power and ability standpoint. And this character, while shopping around along with Boruto and the girls Sumire, Sarada, and his sister Ida, he suddenly just freaks out, runs out the store, confronts Himawari, who's shopping and heading home to the Uzumaki residence, and asks, like, who are you, fam? As I would have said during my review, Daemon is like the character that's the baddest thing since sliced bread, and he's like sensing Himawari and it's like, yo, no, your bread is better than 5 sides, who are you? So due to who is involved, the character Daemon, due to the magnitude of who Daemon is power-wise, this speaks a lot about Himawari. Because yes, we could sit here and say, yes, she has a lot of potential before this chapter, but after this chapter we have to think about it in another sense due to how powerful Daemon is and the fact that the DNA of Ishiki, not Ishiki, but Shibai Otsutsuki is infused into Daemon, which is a great contributor to him being as strong as he is. So now we go into the theorizing, and if due to who Daemon is and what constitutes his DNA at this point, we kind of have to start thinking about Himawari's potential from a more Otsutsuki based standpoint, given the fact that, you know, his parents they've inherited chakra and DNA, they're descendants from Otsutsuki essentially. I mean, Naruto has, as persons would want to put it, he's part Uzumaki, who are relatives of the Senju, who are descended from the Otsutsuki. He's received Hagoromo Otsutsuki, the Sage of Six Paths Chakra. Of course, Hinata is Hyuuga, and she has received Hamura, the brother of Hagoromo's chakra as well. And if we even go back to early in the Naruto story, where we had the whole everybody trying to get the Rinnegan, quote unquote, the whole lore was that once you would take the chakra of the reincarnations of Ashura and Indra that possessed their chakra and put them back together, you get, you know, the Sage of Six Paths chakra essentially. So given that Naruto has Hagoromo's chakra, or at least a portion of it, and technically speaking from the last Naruto the movie, or the last era, Hinata should have Hamura's chakra. I would bet that that has kind of produced some kind of DNA lottery ticket when it comes on to Himawari Uzumaki. Now, they have spoken about Boruto in the story, talking about that he strongly inherited the will, or he strongly inherited something from the Otsutsuki, and a lot of us would think that that's because of Toneri's, you know, interference, more than likely based on how the anime would want to portray it, and that could be the case. But whatever the case may be, that could also potentially apply to Himawari Uzumaki, and that's the interesting part. And that's the only thing at this point in time, until further revealed by Kishimoto, that would make sense to me to actually draw the attention of Daemon. As I said, the quote-unquote second strongest person in the show, or in the verse right now, second to Otsutsuki Shibai, I would say. So in chapter 77, we see him even test her and try to attack her, and admit that even though he did stop, she should have been able to easily dodge his attack, and he makes comments of that intensity that he's feeling from her. So given the nature of who Daemon is, as I said, being Otsutsuki, being how strong he is, it speaks volumes, or it takes the potential that we thought Himawari had and puts it to another level, and puts her in a prominent position when it comes on to the Boruto time skip, honestly. So I'm glad that they're actually doing that and putting her in the spotlight, or at least starting this narrative thread when it comes on to her. So I'm loving what they're doing. Now, given what happened by the end of chapter 77, with Kawaki finally sealing away Naruto in addition to Hinata, and with Himawari, who's basically just come out of her confrontation with Boruto and Daemon, she should be on her way home. So I'm thinking Kawaki and Himawari will have a confrontation, to say the least, and I don't think it's going to be like a simple chat. I think Kishimoto might look on the time they've spent within the anime. We had that one episode where they kind of went together with the to this wolf that Himawari was kind of friends with, to, you know, the recent arc with the academy arc, which I haven't watched, but I'm just saying I think Kishimoto will have put that in mind, or maybe make reference to it, probably not, but he'll probably consider that to at least put Kawaki and Himawari in a confrontational situation, to say the least, because we can get some emotional, you know, payoff or conflict out of it that will actually touch us, the audience, because these are characters. Himawari is a character that hasn't really had much of a problem with Kawaki, and especially going back to Kawaki rebuilding the vase, or vase, however you want to pronounce it. I think we could probably say, yo, these characters, there's some foundation there where if something were to go off between them, we'd get it would evoke some emotion from us, the audience. So I think it would be a wasted opportunity if we don't even get a small fight between them, because Kawaki admitting, I don't see Kawaki hiding the fact that he sealed away Naruto from anyone, honestly, and Himawari coming home, given what they've kind of established with this chapter when it comes on to her potential, I do see her potentially going off and giving us just a bit more of what Kishimoto is starting with, this latent ability or latent potential when it comes on to her, and showcase it just for even a second, similar to how Gohan would, you know, burst up into a rage even for a short period of time. I think we'll get that when it comes on to Kawaki, but Kawaki will potentially overpower her, or potentially her ability or latent ability or latent power won't last long enough and allow Kawaki to temporarily knock her out or put her down, but at the same time give him something to think about when it comes on to her ability, or maybe somebody else will actually witness it and take that into consideration when it comes on to training characters for the time skip. So that's going to be interesting to see. But I do expect Kawaki to actually, fight Himawari. It could be out there, but I think there is enough foundation there between the characters for it to be emotionally resonant, or at least evoke some emotions when it comes on to us, the audience. I think it would be awesome, and it's a good opportunity to actually build on what Kishimoto is, establishing with chapter 77, but at the same time, not necessarily, he doesn't have to take away too much from what he might have planned for her when it comes on to the time skip. So it's a ripe and prime opportunity, and I know it kind of seems like that would be like, yo, fast, like Kawaki versus Himawari next chapter already, but given the pacing, I don't think a lot of persons expected Naruto to be sealed this chapter, so anything can happen. So yeah, let me know what you guys think if you want to see like a Kawaki versus Himawari type of situation or setup. I think it would be awesome. It doesn't have to take up a lot of time in the chapter, like even 5 to 6 pages, maybe 7 tops, just enough to kind of hint at a bit more than what they hinted at in chapter 77 with Himawari's potential, and of course that can tie into her training for the time skip, and just overall keeping the momentum going with what we've established with Naruto being sealed away, Kawaki deciding on his conviction and all of that with chapter 77. So just let me know what you think, guys. It's wild and out there, but just I think it's a great move, if I do say so myself. So yeah, Himawari seems like she's going to be totally busted. Her potential is through the roof. To catch Daemon's attention, you have to be through the roof. I mean, Daemon's been in the village for a while and nobody's really caught his attention, honestly. So I think that's saying something about where we could go with Himawari and her, in the time skip. But anyway, Sanju here, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you guys had an awesome time listening to this discussion. Of course, leave a comment, subscribe, share this video out. We're almost at the end of January. The plan was to hopefully hit 2,000 subs before January ended, but I don't know, maybe we might have to settle at 1,900, hopefully. But anyway, Sanju here, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one.